Hi, I'm Terry and I'm nuts about stamping. I'm back today with another Sundays with Sizzix project. It's this beautiful thank you card that I made using my Big Shot and my Lattice die. So let's get started and I'll show you how you can make this card at home. So the first thing I want to do is prepare the Lattice part of my card, and I'm going to do that by using the Lattice die and running it through my Big Shot. I have a piece of basic black cardstock. It's cut 4.5 by 4.5, so 4.5 inch square. I'm going to have my bottom standard cutting pad, my die with the cardstock on top, and then my top standard cutting pad, and I'm just going to run it through the Big Shot. And that's going to cut out the Lattice part. Then there's lots of confetti pieces that you're going to get from this die. You can certainly save them and do some amazing other ideas with them at another time. For now, I'm just going to poke out all the little confetti so that I have my die ready to go. So I'm going to start with a piece of 3 3/4 inch square Whisper White cardstock, and I want to adhere my Lattice to that. And to do so, I'm going to bring in my two-way glue pen. I love this pen for really fine, intricate gluing that needs to happen. When you apply this glue, it comes in comes out in a blue liquid. But once it dries clear. So I'm going to put some dots of glue on the back side of my Lattice. And then I'm going to adhere it down onto the Whisper White layer. Remember that any glue that might leak through will dry clear. There we go. Then I'm going to layer the 3 3/4 inch square onto a 4 inch square as a background. Bring in my snail adhesive to do so. And layer that up nicely. And then I'm going to adhere the whole thing to my card, which is an 11 by 4 1/4 inch piece of Whisper White cardstock. I brought in my Simply Scored and I scored it at the 5.5 mark so that I have my card front this way. And I'm going to adhere this layer to the card base. I'm going to adhere it to the top of the card base because I want to leave some room underneath for a phrase. And for my phrase, I'm going to pull out the Lacy and Lovely stamp set, and I'm going to choose the thank you image and clear block B. So here's my thank you. Here's my clear block B. And I'm going to ink up the phrase using my marker. I've got my basic black marker. I really prefer to use markers on words because I can be very precise about coloring them, and if I rock my image at all when I stamp it down, I'm not going to get a ring around that. So I'm going to stamp that down like so. And then I would like to add another detail. I have the basic black ribbon. It's the Scallop Dots ribbon, and I'd like to add a piece of the ribbon across the front of my card, just for an added embellishment. So what I'm going to do is bring in some sticky strip. I'm going to run a piece of sticky strip across the card front, and then I'm going to lay my ribbon down on that, and that will adhere it nice and tightly to the card. So I'm going to run my sticky strip across. Like so. And then I'm going to bring in some paper snips. My paper snips are not very sharp. There we go. All right, and then I'm going to peel off the top cover of my sticky strip. I'm going to bring in my ribbon. I'm just going to hold it up so I can visually see where I'm laying my ribbon down. So I want it nice and straight on the front of my card, like so. And then any overlap I have my ribbon cutting scissors. I always like to cut from the back side so I can cut nice and straight. If I have any overlap on this side, I can cut that off as well. Okay, there we go, and I have a nice embellishment on the front. And now I could leave my card like that and it would make a beautiful thank you card, but I love to use my punches to add additional embellishments. So I'm going to bring in my 1/2 inch circle punch and some scrap Whisper White cardstock. And I'm going to punch 5 1/2 inch circles. And then I'm going to adhere my 1/2 inch circles onto the front of the lattice. Oops, it's hard to do it when the card's sitting straight up. There we go, there's one. Two. I could use the two-way glue pen to adhere the circle down. I just love to use my snail adhesive. It's such a strong adhesive. It's not wet. There it is. Here's my last circle. Okay, so we've got that, and then one more touch. I like to bring in a touch of color on my cards. So I have this punch. It's a little flower punch from the Itty Bitty Punch Pack. Itty Bitty, I think it's Itty Bitty Shapes or Itty Bitty Punch Pack. I'll make sure that that's noted on my blog afterwards. And I'm going to punch 5 little flowers. I'm going to bring in my two-way glue pen and I'm going to adhere the flowers to the front of my card on top of the white circles. So here's my two-way glue pen. And what I find when you're working with smaller details is put your glue on the largest surface that you're going to be adhering to, rather than trying to turn my little flower over and put glue on the back of my little flower. It's easier to put glue on the white circle and then drop the flower down on top, like so. And there we go. Now, if I wanted to add one additional detail, I could bring in my basic pearls, and I could put a tiny pearl in the center of each of one of these flowers to complete the card. And I have a beautiful thank you card that I'll probably send out to a customer who places an online order with me this week, because now I have a thank you card all ready to go. For a complete listing of the supplies and the measurements for the card front layers, please visit my blog, www.nutsaboutstamping.com. While on my blog, make sure you are a newsletter subscriber. I have a newsletter coming out this Tuesday that will show you lots of different sample ideas. Some of them are 3D ideas, and I'm announcing a new club for my Raleigh area customers. You can ask me a question, you can place an order, or you can just cruise through and look at lots of other sample ideas I've posted on my blog in the last several days. I'm Terry. I am Nuts About Stamping. See you next time. Bye for now.